All right, let's go. All
Your hair
right,
looks great.
appreciate it. I make it look good. All right, let's go. Good afternoon, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of Athlete Chronicles. My name's Henry Che, and I'm here with my co-host Tom Conley. We got a special one today, man. I'm really excited for this. Me and Tom just got off a win. Tom, I'm excited about that win, man. That playoff. I told the guys, I think I put in the GC last night that we're in playoff mode right now. Our minds got to be structured into next game mentality. That one more thing that we always hear from Kyle Julius, man. And striving for away from basketball today, we're going into another sport. We're talking about boxing today, man. I met this guy like a couple years ago in church. This is none other than Joeseph Brown.
Welcome to
What's
the
up?
show, Joseph.
Happy to have you, bro. It's
Thank
been a
you.
while. So
Yeah, it's been a minute.
talk to us through tell me about you. Tell me about Joeseph Brown. Like, where are you from?
Well, I was born in Florida originally, but I live in Canada now. I live in Vancouver. 19 years old. I'm a professional boxer, signed with Floyd Mayweather now. So as a professional, I'm 7-0 right now currently.
So you were born in Florida.
Yeah,
So how do you go that coast to our coast?
I guess it's just family decision. I moved out of Florida when I was 6, and then I've been living in Canada ever since.
Oh, so you're pretty much Canadian now.
Yeah, yeah.
When you got here when you're 6, I mean you didn't get into boxing right away. You get involved in other sports. Like what did you do leading up to boxing?
I'll say it was like boxing or just combat sports in general. My dad got me started, and he's been teaching me how to fight since I was born. So I, that's all I really knew. I didn't try any other sports or anything like that.
I think I read that your dad was a fighter, right?
Yeah, sorry. Doing an interview. Oh, okay, okay.
So that was your introduction into combat sports then, just being around your dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. What
So
what was what were the sports he was involved in?
He did taekwondo growing up. Well, want to tell him since
Goju, Taekwondo, Seido, kickboxing. Yeah, little everything, boxing.
Oh, wow. So then when did you actually start yourself? So I know you're involved, but when did you actually start taking it, like actually training to do more than just train?
Well, I mean, since I started, to be honest, because I think my first competition was when I was like 8. So I've been competing at since I was super young. As far as like really like I guess maybe wanting to like turn it into like an actual career. And maybe when I was like 12 or 13, after I won like my first couple national tournaments, and I saw that I was actually like really really talented in that area. That's when I decided like I want to make like a career out of it. But I've been competing since I was like super young too.
like, what's your experiences and like your background in boxing?
Experiences and background. I mean, I started with my dad, and then I started in the actual like boxing gym when I was 6. And I mean, I grew up doing combat sports too. I grew up doing taekwondo, kickboxing, Muay Thai, jiu-jitsu. So I was kind of doing all of that around like the same time, just growing up. And then it was until like I decided to turn pro in boxing when I like slowed down in the other combat sports. Even though I still like training them, it's just like when I turn professional, like that's the one I'm like only like actively competing in right now. But I mean, I guess that'd be my background. When I was 16 is the first time the first time I met Floyd. It was like the summer when I was 16, and we kind of started talking, and I got my contract from him and got signed from him. And yeah, after that I turned pro at 17 and signed with him at 17.
No, I was going to say, so with your experience in other combat sports, how did like MMA is all the rage, right? So what a lot of people talk about. How did you end up going the boxing route versus that type of sport?
I Yeah, I guess growing up, like as I got older, I just kind of started to single out. as I got older, I just kind of started to single out boxing as my favorite, and I knew like turning professional, I would have to kind of like eventually like choose one that I want to like go in all the way, and it seemed like boxing just had like the most opportunities and everything in that area, and like I said, I just kind of like I don't know, I just kind of fell in love with that one the most.
Yeah, man, that's a big move. Like, how did you get involved, like, with the money team movement and like promotional wise and getting funded?
So so Floyd's uncle Jeff Mayweather started training me when I was like 14. I went down to Las Vegas for the first time to meet up with him and train with him. So I mean, I was training with him, and I was fighting like as an amateur for the gym, and won a couple of national titles for the gym, like Mayweather Boxing Club as an amateur. And then, I mean, just from being there, I guess probably like the word got around to Floyd and stuff like that. And like I said, like the summer when I was 16 is the first time that I met him in person at the gym actually. And we kind of just started talking like that. And I guess, he just saw like a lot of talent in me and said that, he wanted to sign me and fight for his promotional company. So, that's how it started.
Damn, that's big time. What was that?
Yeah.
What was that experience like? Because I know, like, for me as like a hooper, anybody that plays other sports, if it's a tennis player and somebody met like Serena Williams, they're gonna get those like butterflies or jitters. How do you feel when you first met Floyd Mayweather?
I was a little starstruck because, I mean, Floyd's been my favorite boxer since I started. So to actually like meet him, like when I first met him in person, I was a little starstruck, and then I mean it's just like a surreal feeling. It's still surreal to me now that someone that I looked up to for so long is like someone that I'm fighting for and signed with now. So it's kind of a dream come true.
Yeah. So like, do you spend like any time with him, maybe like outside of boxing, or like just strictly like when you in the gym, he in the gym?
Well, Floyd's a pretty busy dude. Like he's always like he's got his own jet, so I mean he's always traveling everywhere, taking care of business that he needs to take care of. But I mean we still have a pretty good relationship whenever we're inside of the gym, or even if we talk outside of the gym too. He's always cool with me.
I mess with that, bro. So like, what is a typical like what does a day in a life look like with you when you're working out? What does your workout routine look like?
Well, I train usually like when I have my fights coming up. I train twice a day, 6 days a week. So I like train in the morning. I don't like waking up like too early, so it might be around like 10 or 11, and like do some boxing work, and then I might go again to the gym around like 7 or something like that, and either do more boxing or like strength and conditioning or go run or do stuff like that.
So how do you prepare like when you go into a fight itself, right? I know like when I go into a basketball game or something, I usually probably like, I'll probably listen to like some gospel music, have like a pregame meal. Like, what does your like pregame routine look like when you're like getting ready like mentally and physically for a fight?
I'd say like if it's like the day of the fight, I listen. If it's like the day of the fight, I'll listen to a lot of gospel music too, and I just focus on keeping myself calm because I think that's the biggest thing you need to do as a fighter is just like stay relaxed and not get yourself like too worked up over everything. You know what I mean? So that's what I do. I just try and keep myself relaxed, and I do that by like listening to gospel music. That's what calms me down.
Have you ever gotten like nervous? Like there's a time where it's like, maybe not like scared nerves, you're just like, damn, like I'm really doing this. I'm really here. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, of course. And I think like, I mean, at the end of the day, you're fighting, so I mean, of course,
yeah,
there's always like a little nerves, a little butterflies. I guess that's normal. It's comes with the sport.
man, I haven't watched like too much of boxing, but I'm watching boxing. What I've seen is there's different styles. Obviously, there's like orthodox and non-orthodox, and like some people are aggressive and not. Like, are you more of like an aggressive style fighter who likes, you want to set your pace up, or are you like, your reaction, like you want to look for your spots on a guy?
Well, I feel like in boxing, you have to be very versatile, and you have to be able to switch it up and do anything depending on what opponent you have in front of you because every opponent is gonna like have a certain weakness to a certain type of style. I would say like my base is like I'm very defensive. Like that's always been my thing since I started. Like defense first and don't get hit. Because at the end of the day, that's how you last long in boxing. The less punishment you take, the longer you'll be able to like fight. So I say like that's like the base of my style, but I mean I can switch it up and do whatever I need to do, like depending on like whoever's in front of me.
So then let me ask you this real quick, because Tom, you know what's funny? I forgot to ask Mitch about this question, but I'll ask Joseph. Like, it's a different sport, but it still implies the same. Is boxing more technique or like IQ? Technique as in like, how hard, or how like, or like IQ as in like, do you wait for him to hit you before you like move and then hit back?
I mean, I would say is both. Honestly, you definitely need both, but I would say IQ above anything. Because I mean, if I had to choose to have like the best IQ or the best technique, I'd choose the best IQ. Because I mean, if you can think and outsmart the guy you're in front of, I mean, you're gonna win like 9 out of 10 times. So I definitely say IQ.
Then this transitions to our next question. Like, has there been any strategies you've ever used on any of your opponents?
I mean, every fight you go into, there's a different strategy and a different game plan. You have to have one for every opponent because not everybody doesn't fight the same. Everyone has like their own things that they're good at, their own weaknesses. So you have to have a strategy and a game plan for everybody that you get into the ring against. So those are certain things that I'll work on like during my training, depending on who I'm fighting.
So not quite the
What?
same as the movies where you see some tells, or is it obvious when you get more experience in boxing that you could see, okay, this is what the guy's doing. He's got a little shoulder movement. He's got a little tweak.
Yeah, I mean, like it's definitely like different from like in the movies and stuff like that, but it's like it's almost the same in a way. It just happens like a lot quicker. Like it's like I guess just the reaction time for everything is like you do see it, but all of that stuff happens in like a split second. So I mean, I guess you just develop that just from years and years of training and being in the sport.
So like with boxing itself, it's hard, but like what do you think's the most difficult thing about being a boxer itself?
I would say just staying disciplined. Just staying disciplined for sure. I mean, there's a lot that goes into boxing. There's a ton of different workouts that you have to do, like when it comes to like it's not just fighting. I mean, like you have like your strength and conditioning, like you're running. A lot of boxers swim. It's like I mean there's so much certain things that you need to do to like make sure that you're a good well-rounded boxer. So I feel like it's just the hardest thing would just be like staying disciplined in everything and making sure that you're always doing what you need to do to be the best.
I think I've watched too many Creed movies and Rocky, man. Is boxing, like, I've always wanted to ask a boxer this. Is it the same how it is in the movies, or is it like it's totally different? Like, you see a guy like, get knocked down with all this like, ounces of blood or like, saliva come out his mouth, like.
That stuff does happen. It definitely. I mean, like I guess the movies make it more like I guess like appealing to whoever's watching it. But I mean that stuff like really does happen. It might be a little harder to see like like if you're in the crowd like far away, but like if you're sitting like ringside at a fight, like all the sound of the punches like they do sound like that. All like the blood flying and stuff like that is like you do see that the cuts and the black eyes like all that stuff actually does happen.
I think I saw on your website, and it might be slightly outdated, but you're for all your combat sports, you're like 71-0, something like that.
Yeah,
Is that right?
67 knows an amateur and then 7 knows a pro now.
Yeah. So
74.
so you would have
Yeah.
taken tons of different types of shots, right? Like kidney shots, body shots, head shots. What is the it's going to be like a weird question, but what's the toughest one to receive? Because I've seen clips of
A
guys
liver
getting
shot.
knocked
Like
like
when you get hit in
TKOs
the
or
liver.
whatever from kidney shots. Yeah, or liver shot. Yeah.
It would definitely be like, yeah, that getting hit in the liver is probably the worst because it feels like it's almost like it's not just like winding you, but it almost kind of like it aches and almost can almost like paralyze you in a way. That's at least that's what it feels like.
Damn.
Yeah, that's what I've seen in a lot of videos. Guys just go down, and you go, "Boy, what happened to the guy?" But it happens so fast, right?
Yeah.
The different types of opponents that have done that to you, whether or not, like, what's the toughest opponent you face, whether it's a sparring partner or just one of your fights that you've been in?
Um, I mean, I've had my fair share of like tough fights. I say like, one of my toughest fights was like, I think when I fought in like world championships for Muay Thai, like the I fought 3 times in that tournament, and the first guy I fought was like a multiple time like national champion in that. So I had like a real like close fight with him. Um, in boxing, I mean, I've been around a bunch of different um world champions in boxing now, so I've had my fair share to get around and see like what the best in the world are. So I mean all these guys are world champion for a reason. So I say every world champion I've been in is great.
So
Is there a
never
specific
sparred with Floyd.
knockout you've thrown or seen?
Never sparred with Floyd. It's one person I haven't sparred.
Is there any like knockout you've thrown or seen live that you just went like, damn, I really did this, or wow, I really just seen this?
Uh, th- I remember one I saw. It wasn't too long ago actually. It might have been like a little over a year ago. Like this, I knew the guy that I was fighting. I had sparred him, and he had like knocked this guy out, and he like he fell the way he was like laying down flat, but like his head was like sticking out of the ropes. So he was kind of just like laying there like out cold, like with his head sticking out the ropes. That was pretty crazy. 'Cause I was front row too, so that one was pretty crazy. And then me, uh, I feel like I feel like a lot of times when I drop somebody or knock them out, it's always a shot that like I didn't expect to like really put him out. So there's been a few times where I just hit somebody with something that I didn't expect them to go out with, and they did. So I mean, anyone like that is like super surprising to me if you didn't expect them to get knocked out.
Damn. Is there like, I know maybe your OG might be a little different, but like for your moms and stuff and all your family that's watching, like, do they ever get like a little worried when you're fighting, like when they're watching your fights?
I'd say so. I think from what I've heard them say is like they get a little bit nervous, which I mean makes sense. I mean, even when me personally, if I'm watching somebody that I know fight, I mean, I'm a little bit nervous for them. So I think just the same amount like that I would be nervous getting in there, they are too. So
With the Olympics on right now, I mean, you said you turned pro. I don't know what the rules are with boxing. I know other sports professionals can play in the Olympics, but do you have dreams of going into the Olympics? Can you get to the Olympics?
I did. The reason why I turned pro so early is because I wanted to go to the Olympics for boxing, but they had changed the age limit from like for boxing like 17 to 19, which meant that it would have been 2024 that I just couldn't go anymore because I was too young. So that's why ended up turning pro so early. And I do see now that they do allow some pro boxers to compete at the Olympics. I really don't know like how the whole process works. I mean, it'll always be cool to go to the Olympics. I mean, that's a accomplishment and a stage that not very many people get to have that claim. So it will be cool, but I mean, I guess we'll see what the future holds.
Yeah, that'd be cool to kind of see a guy that we've interviewed in the Olympics. So that'd be pretty sweet. My next question you already answered, but officially, when did you turn pro?
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I turned pro a week after I turned 17. I think it was like either October 23rd or 24th of 2023.
If you could, if you could ask like any boxing legend anything, like anything in the world, like who would it be, and like what would you ask them?
Um, I would say maybe Muhammad Ali because that's probably like the one person I just never got to meet, and I would just ask him like how he became so great, like what he did different from everybody else to really get to that level. Like all the secret stuff that like he hasn't like revealed to the public is what I'd want to know.
Yeah, that'd be so cool, bro. Like, my dad always talks about his like glory days and stuff, and like, fighting back adversity, because like obviously we probably haven't seen like the stuff they've gone through, like those old heads that always talk about back in the day. but it really was crazy because it's like for basketball, it's different, right? It's like it's a crowd, like the crowd's further away, and you're on the court, right? Boxing, there's people like sitting right next to the ring, and they're chirping like whatever to you. So
Yeah.
appreciate it, man.
Okay. Hey, one last question. When is your next fight?
My next fight should be like mid-April or early May. I just fought last Saturday, so I'm looking to get back in like a couple months. So either mid-April or like early May.
Where do you think that'll
You
be?
with
Will it
that?
be local or will it be in the
Yeah,
U.S.?
it'll probably be somewhere in the U.S.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let us know. We'll put a link to all your social media and everything, and cheer for you.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate that.
But man, we appreciate this interview. Appreciate your time. Now's the time we get into our 8 quick hitter questions, bro. It's just 8 questions, rapid fire right away. All right.
All right, so it's like one word answer.
Yeah. All right, for sure. All right, what's your favorite meal?
Burgers.
Favorite boxing memory?
Winning.
What's your favorite place you fought at?
Las Vegas.
What's your favorite country you fought at?
USA.
Favorite boxing movie?
Creed.
Best coach or training partner you've worked with?
My little brother.
All right, how many rounds of sparring can you do before feeling gassed?
Oh, I don't know. Depends. If it depends on if I'm like in shape or not.
All right,
If
man.
I'm if I'm in shape, maybe like 15.
Damn. All right, last one. Go boxer. Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, Money Mayweather, or someone else?
Oh, Floyd, of course.
You got to give it to Floyd, man. Appreciate your time, bro. I'm going to give it back to Tom.
Yeah, we really appreciate your time, Joseph. It's great. I boxed a little bit when I was 18, 19 years old, but I moved on to something else. So it's really cool to get to know you and appreciate your time and best of luck in the future.
Yeah, of course. Thank you guys.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
You too.